In the small town of Ogbomosho, there was a woman called Mama Ifeoma. Mama Ifeoma was famous for her delicious pepper soup. People came from near and far, places like Ibadan, Eid, and even Oshobo, just to eat her hot, spicy pepper soup. Every evening, Mama Ifeoma would set up her table by the roadside. She would light her small lantern, put her big pot on the fire, and soon, the sweet smell of pepper soup would fill the air. Her special pepper soup had fish, goat meat, and plenty of spices. Everyone loved it, but something strange started happening. 3 dogs that lived near Mama Ifeoma's shop, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger, began barking loudly every night. The moment Mama Ifeoma opened her pot, the dogs would start barking and growling. They barked so much that people were afraid to come near. "Mama Ifeoma, why are these dogs always barking at your shop?" asked Uncle Toby, a taxi driver from Elisha. "I don't know, Mama Ifeoma said, shaking her head. "They never used to bark before. But now, every evening, they will not let me have peace." Some people said the dogs were just hungry because the pepper soup smelled so nice. Others whispered that maybe something was wrong with the pepper soup. One evening, as Mama Ifeoma was serving pepper soup to Auntie Kemi from a cure, the dogs started barking again. But this time, they did something different. They began to dig near the place where Mama Ifeoma kept her firewood. Everybody stopped to watch. "What are they digging for?" Little Emeka from the next street asked, his eyes wide. "I don't know," Mama Ifeoma said, looking worried, "but we have to find out." Suddenly, Bingo pulled something out of the ground. It was a small black bag. Everyone gasped. Mama Ifeoma dropped her spoon and ran to see. The dogs kept barking and circling the bag. "What is inside?" Auntie Kemi asked, peeping closely. Mama Ifeoma slowly opened the bag with shaky hands. Inside, there was a bunch of old papers tied with a red string and a tiny bottle with something that looked like black powder. "What is this?" Mama Ifeoma asked, confused. Uncle Toby stepped forward and looked carefully. "Ah, this looks like juju," he said in a low voice. "Juju?" Everyone shouted at once. Even the dogs stepped back a little and kept growling. Mama Ifeoma's eyes grew wide. "Who would put juju under my shop? And why?" Just then, old Mama Nkechi, who always sold groundnuts by the corner, came closer with her walking stick. She looked at the bag and nodded her head slowly. I have seen this kind of thing before," she said. "Long ago, when someone was jealous of another person's business, they would bury something like this to spoil the person's market." Mama Ifeoma covered her mouth. "Is that why my pepper soup sales have been going down?" she asked. "And is that why the dogs kept barking?" Mama Nkechi nodded again. "Dogs can sense bad things. They were trying to tell us." The people started murmuring. Some looked scared while others looked angry. "We must find out who did this," Uncle Toby said, folding his arms. Mama Ifeoma sighed and sat on a bench. She looked at the dogs, who were now quiet but still watching the bag. "What should I do now?" she asked, worried. Mama Nkechi tapped her stick on the ground. "First, you must remove this bad thing and clean the place. I know someone in Ibadan who can help." Just as they were talking, a stranger wearing a red cap and dark glasses walked past, looking at them closely before hurrying away. "Who is that man?" Auntie Kemi whispered. "I've never seen him here before." The dogs started barking again, this time at the man. Mama Ifeoma stood up quickly. "Let's follow him," she shouted. And without wasting time, everyone, including the dogs, began to follow the stranger down the dark street. The stranger in the red cap walked faster and faster, but the dogs, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger, ran ahead, barking loudly. Mama Ifeoma, Uncle Toby, Auntie Kemi, and some other people followed close behind. "Stop that man," Uncle Toby shouted. The man looked back and started running. "He's running away," Emeka cried. The dogs chased the man around the corner into a narrow street in Ogbomosho. The man tried to hide behind a tree, but Bingo was too fast. He grabbed the man's trouser leg with his teeth and held on tight. "Eewoo!" the man screamed. "Leave me! Leave me!" Mama Ifioma and the others caught up quickly. Uncle Toby grabbed the man's arm. "Why are you running? What do you know about the juju under Mama Ifioma's shop?" The man was breathing hard. I don't know anything," he stammered. The dogs kept barking. Mom Nkechi, who had just caught up, looked at the man closely. "I have seen you before," she said slowly. "You came last month and sat near Mama Ifioma's shop, pretending to be hungry." The man's eyes darted left and right. "It's not me. I was just passing by." But just then, a small piece of red string, just like the one in the juju bag, fell out of his pocket. "Aha!" Auntie Kemi pointed. "What is that? Explain yourself now." The man's face turned pale. Okay, he said, raising his hands. "My name is Kunnel. Someone paid me to bury the bag there." "Who?" everyone shouted. Kunnel shook his head. "I can't say. They will beat me if I talk." Mama Ifioma stepped forward. "Please, Kunnel. My business is suffering. Look at these dogs, they knew something was wrong. You must tell us who sent you." Kunnel looked at the barking dogs, at the angry crowd, and at the red string in his hand. He sighed deeply. "All right," he said at last. "I will tell you." Kunnel looked around nervously. Okay, he said in a quiet voice. "It was Madame Bose, the woman who sells umla and yudu 2 streets away." Everyone gasped. "Madame Bose?" Mama Ifioma shouted. "But she is my friend. We always greet each other." Kunnel nodded sadly. "She said your pepper soup was making her lose customers. She begged me to help her bury the juju, so people would stop coming to you." Mama Ifioma sat down on a low wall, her hand on her chest. "Ah, my own friend?" Mama Nkechi shook her head. "This is why the dogs were warning us. Now we know the truth." Uncle Toby looked serious. "We must go and face Madame Bose." The crowd began to murmur, getting ready to move. The dogs barked as if they agreed. But suddenly Kunnel jumped up. "Wait," he said. "Please don't tell her I told you. She will send her boys after me." Mama Nkechi gave him a sharp look. "Kunnel, you did something bad. You must help us make it right." Kunnel looked down at his feet. "Okay, I will help," he said quietly. "But we have to be smart." "What do you mean?" Auntie Kemi asked. Kunnel's eyes darted around. "We need proof. If we just go and accuse Madame Bose, she will deny everything. But if we catch her with her own mouth saying it, then she cannot escape." Mama Ifioma nodded slowly. "That's true. But how do we get proof?" Kunnel smiled a little. "I have an idea. I can go back to her and pretend that I want more money. I will tell her that people are asking questions, and I need to be paid to keep quiet. We can hide and record what she says." The people looked at each other, thinking. Mama Nkechi tapped her stick. "It is risky, but it might work." Mama Ifioma looked at her dogs. "What do you think, Bingo, Rocky, Tiger?" she asked, half joking. The dogs wagged their tails and barked happily. "That's a yes," little Emeka laughed. Mama Ifioma stood up. "All right, Kunnel, let's plan this well. We must be careful." As they all began to talk about the plan, no one noticed a pair of eyes watching them from behind a tree. It was Madame Bose's helper, and he was listening to everything. Behind the tree, Madame Bose's helper, Sei, listened carefully. His eyes grew wide as he heard everything Kunnel and the others were planning. "So, they want to catch Madame Bose," he whispered to himself. Quietly, he tiptoed away and ran as fast as he could to warn her. Meanwhile, Kunnel and the crowd were still talking. "Tomorrow afternoon," Kunnel said, "I will go to Madame Bose's shop. You all can hide behind the fence near her place. When I start talking to her, you must record everything with your phones." "Good plan," Uncle Toby said. "We will be ready." Mama Ifioma hugged Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger. "Thank you, my brave dogs," she said. "You are the real heroes." The next day, everyone got ready. Uncle Toby, Auntie Kemi, Mom Nkechi, And even little Emika found a good hiding place near Madame Bose's shop. Mama Ifioma stayed at her own stall, pretending nothing was happening. But what they didn't know was that Madame Bose was already waiting for them. Sei had told her everything. When Kunnel arrived at Madame Bose's shop, he smiled and said, "Madam, I need to talk to you." Madame Bose smiled too, but her eyes looked sharp. "Ah, Kunnel, what is it?" Kunnel looked around and whispered, "Madam, people are asking questions about the juju. I am worried. If you want me to keep quiet, you have to pay me more." Madame Bose laughed loudly. "Ah, Kunnel, you are very funny. Which juju? I don't know what you are talking about." Kunnel blinked. "Madam, don't you remember? The bag I buried for you." Before he could finish, Madame Bose clapped her hands twice. From inside her shop, two big men came out quickly and grabbed Kunnel's arms. "Hey!" Kunnel shouted. "What are you doing?" From behind the fence, Uncle Toby and the others saw everything. "She has set a trap," Auntie Kemi whispered in fear. "We have to help Kunnel," Mama Nkechi said, holding her walking stick tight. But before they could move, the dogs, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger, leaped over the fence and charged at the two big men, barking and growling loudly. The big men got scared and let Kunnel go. Kunnel ran as fast as he could, and the dogs stood guard, barking fiercely. "Run, Kunnel, run!" Uncle Toby shouted. Madame Bose screamed, "Catch him! Don't let him escape!" But the dogs kept the men back while Kunnel escaped and ran toward Mama Ifioma's shop. Madame Bose stared after him, her face full of anger. She didn't know that Uncle Toby had recorded everything with his phone, including her shouting, "Catch him!" Mama Nkechi said, peeping from the fence. "This story is not over yet." And as the dogs finally returned, tails wagging, everyone knew the real trouble was just beginning. Kunnel ran all the way back to Mama Ifioma's shop, breathing hard. The crowd that had gathered there rushed to him. "What happened?" Mama Ifioma asked, holding his shoulder. Kunnel pointed behind him, still catching his breath. "Madame Bose knew. She set a trap. She sent two big men to catch me, but your dogs saved me." Just then, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger came trotting back, wagging their tails like proud soldiers. The people clapped and patted the dogs' heads. "You are all so brave," little Emika said, hugging Bingo. Uncle Toby and the others arrived too, panting a little from running. "Mama Ifioma," Uncle Toby said, raising his phone. "I recorded everything." Madame Bose shouted for her men to catch Kunnel. "That is good proof." Mama Nkechi nodded. "Yes, it shows she was hiding something. But we still need more." Mama Ifioma looked worried. "What if Madame Bose tries something bad again? What if she sends her boys here?" Uncle Toby said, thinking, "We must be careful. But we should also report this to the town elders and the police." Everyone agreed. That night, Mama Ifioma couldn't sleep well. She kept thinking about how her own friend had betrayed her. But the dogs stayed close to her, lying near the firewood and watching carefully. Suddenly, around midnight, Bingo sat up and growled. Rocky and Tiger stood too, their ears up. "Grr!" Mama Ifioma woke up and listened. There was a soft sound, scratch, scratch, near the back of her shop. She quickly grabbed her torchlight and tiptoed outside. "Who is there?" she shouted. The dogs barked loudly, running toward the sound. Mama Ifioma flashed her light and saw a shadow jumping over the back fence. The dogs ran to the fence, barking and growling, but the person had already escaped into the dark night. Mama Ifioma's heart was beating fast. "What is happening again?" she whispered. She checked around but didn't see anything strange. Still, she knew something was not right. The next morning, when she came to open her shop, she saw something shocking. Right at the front of her shop was a fresh juju charm, tied with palm leaves and cowries, sitting on her doorstep. "Oh my God!" Mama Ifioma cried out. The neighbors came running to see. Mama Nkechi shook her head and said, "They are trying again, but we will not be afraid." Mama Ifioma looked at her dogs, who were barking at the juju charm. "This battle is not over," she said, her eyes shining with new courage. And everyone knew. The mystery was far from solved. The whole street was buzzing with noise. People pointed at the new juju charm on Mama Ifeoma's doorstep and shook their heads. "Ah, this is serious, oh," Auntie Kemi said, her eyes wide. "They are really after you, Mama Ifeoma." Mama Nkechi bent down and looked at the charm closely. This one is fresh. It was put here last night." Mama Ifeoma felt tears in her eyes but stood tall. "They want to scare me, but I will not give up." Uncle Toby stepped forward. "We must act fast. We can't just leave this thing here. Do you know anyone who can help remove it safely?" Mama Ifeoma nodded slowly. "Yes, there is Baba Fatai in Ilorin. He knows how to handle things like this. I will call him." As she went to make the phone call, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger sat in front of the charm, barking now and then, as if warning it to leave. By afternoon, Baba Fatai arrived in his old, red car. He was a tall man with a calm face and a deep voice. "Where is the charm?" he asked. Mama Ifeoma pointed. "There." Baba Fatai looked at the charm and nodded. This is not ordinary. Someone is really fighting you in secret." He brought out a small gourd, sprinkled some powder around the charm, and said some words in Yoruba. Then he carefully picked up the charm and put it inside a black bag. "It is done," Baba Fatai said. "But you must be very watchful. This fight is not over." Just as he was speaking, a boy came running down the street, shouting, "Come and see! Madame Bose is crying in front of her shop." "Eh? Crying?" Mama Nkechi asked, surprised. Mama Ifeoma and the others quickly followed the boy. When they reached Madame Bose's shop, they saw Madame Bose sitting on the ground, holding her head and crying loudly. "What happened?" people asked. Sei, her helper, came out shaking. Madame Bose woke up this morning and found her shop door wide open. All her pots and food items are missing. Everyone gasped. Madame Bose looked up with tears in her eyes. "I don't know who did this to me. My business is finished." Mama Ifeoma looked at her, feeling a mix of anger and pity. She said quietly. "Now strange things are happening to her too." Mama Nkechi whispered. "Maybe the bad things she sent out are going back to her." The dogs sat quietly, watching everything, their ears up and eyes sharp. But deep inside, Mama Ifeoma knew this was not the end. Something bigger was coming. She looked at her dogs and said softly, "We must be ready." And as the crowd stood around Madame Bose's shop, whispering and wondering, a cold breeze blew through the street, making everyone shiver. What was going to happen next? For days, the town was full of whispers. "Did you hear what happened to Madame Bose?" "Yes, oh. Her pots and food disappeared like magic. Maybe it's payback for what she did to Mama Ifeoma." Mama Ifeoma kept working at her shop, but she stayed alert. Her dogs, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger, never left her side. Every night, they walked around the shop, sniffing the ground and barking at any small sound. One evening, as Mama Ifeoma was closing her shop, Kunnel came running to her, looking worried. "Mama Ifeoma, I just heard something," he said, panting. "What is it, Kunnel?" she asked. Kunnel looked around to make sure no one was listening. Sei, Madame Bose's helper, told someone that Madame Bose is planning something bigger. He said she is going to bring a very powerful herbalist from far away. Mama Ifeoma's eyes widened. "Again? After everything that has happened?" "Yes," Kunnel said. "They are angry because things are going wrong for them now. They want to fight back." Mama Nkechi, who was sitting nearby cracking groundnuts, shook her head. Some people never learn. But we must not be afraid." Mama Ifeoma nodded. "Yes, we will pray and be ready." That night, as the town slept, something strange happened. A thick mist rolled into the street, covering everything. Even the dogs looked confused, sniffing the air and growling softly. Suddenly, Bingo barked loudly and ran toward the back of the shop. Rocky and Tiger followed, their tails up. "Mama Ifeoma!" little Emeka shouted, peeping through his window. Your dogs are barking again. Mama Ifioma grabbed her torchlight and rushed outside. She shone the light behind the shop but couldn't see anything through the mist. Then she heard a strange noise. Tap, 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 like someone walking with a stick. "Who is there?" she shouted bravely. No answer. The dogs kept barking, circling the back of the shop. Suddenly, out of the mist, a small shadow appeared. It was an old man with a long white beard and a crooked walking stick. He was wearing a dark robe and had red beads around his neck. "Good evening," the old man said in a deep voice. "I am looking for Madame Bose's shop, but I seem to be lost." Mama Ifioma's heart pounded. "Why are you looking for her at this time of night?" she asked carefully. The old man smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Ah, she called me to help her with some problems." The dogs growled louder, their fur standing on end. Mama Nkechi, who had also come outside, whispered, "This must be the herbalist she hired." Mama Ifioma took a deep breath and said firmly, "Madame Bose's shop is down the road, but let me warn you, your bad work will not succeed here." The old man chuckled. "We shall see," he said, tapping his stick on the ground. Then he slowly walked away, disappearing into the mist. The dogs barked after him until he was gone. Mama Ifioma hugged her dogs tightly. "We must pray harder," she whispered. And as the mist cleared, the town grew quiet again. But everyone knew that something big was coming soon. The next morning, the whole street was talking about the strange mist and the old man who came in the night. "I heard his walking stick tapping on the ground," one neighbor said. "Yes, so. And I heard the dogs barking like mad," another added. Mama Ifioma sat quietly at her shop, thinking deeply. Her dogs lay near her feet, their eyes watchful. Mama Nkechi came to sit beside her. "We must be ready, my sister," she said softly. "That man didn't look ordinary." "I know," Mama Ifioma replied, "but I believe God and my dogs will protect us." As they were talking, Kunnel ran up, waving a piece of paper. "Mama Ifioma, look at this." Mama Ifioma took the paper and read it aloud. "Big trouble coming soon. Close your shop or face it." The crowd gasped. "Who put this here?" Mama Nkechi asked. Kunnel shook his head. "I found it pasted on your back wall this morning." Mama Ifioma's hands shook a little, but she folded the paper and stood up. "Let them do their worst. I will not close my shop." The dogs barked loudly as if to say, "Yes, we are ready too." That evening, something strange happened again. Just as Mama Ifioma was about to close her shop, a loud whoosh sound filled the air. Suddenly, the firewood in her pepper soup pot started burning higher and higher, even though she had already turned off the fire. "Ah, what is this?" Mama Ifioma shouted, stepping back. The flames rose and danced wildly, but the dogs jumped into action. Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger barked and circled the fire. To everyone's surprise, the flames slowly died down on their own until the fire was gone. Mama Ifioma's heart pounded. She touched her chest and whispered, "Thank you, God." The neighbors clapped and cheered for the brave dogs. "These dogs are not ordinary," they said. But deep down, Mama Ifioma knew the battle was still going on. That night, as she lay in bed, she dreamed of a big snake crawling toward her shop. But just before it could reach the door, her 3 dogs appeared and chased it far away. She woke up sweating, but the dream gave her new strength. "This fight is not over," she said to herself. "But my dogs are ready." And outside, under the moonlight, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger stood guard, their eyes shining bright and their ears sharp, waiting for whatever would come next. The next morning, Mama Ifioma woke up early and found her dogs already up, sniffing around the shop as if they were looking for something. "Good dogs," she said, patting their heads. "You are always watching over me." As she prepared her pepper soup, Uncle Toby arrived, holding a small black bag. "Mama Ifioma," he said, "I brought holy water and blessed salt. I think we should sprinkle it around your shop for extra protection." Mama Ifioma smiled. "Thank you, Uncle Toby. That is a good idea." They sprinkled the holy water and salt all around the shop, even at the back where strange things always happened. The dogs watched closely, wagging their tails. Just as they finished, Sei, Madame Bose's helper, came running, looking scared. "Mama Ifioma," he shouted. "Something bad has happened at Madame Bose's house." "What again?" Mama Ifioma asked, her eyes wide. Sei panted and said, "The herbalist who came last night. He fell sick suddenly. He's rolling on the ground," shouting that he saw big dogs chasing him in his dream. Everyone gasped. Mama Nkechi clapped her hands. "Ah, you see? That is what happens when you do evil." Mama Ifioma felt sorry but also a bit relieved. "Dogs again," she whispered. "Even in his dreams, the dogs are fighting." Sei nodded fast. "Madame Bose is very worried now. She is saying she wants to stop everything. She said she will come and beg you soon." Mama Ifioma took a deep breath. "Let her come. But this shows us something. The power of good is always stronger than evil." The people around clapped and praised Mama Ifioma's courage. Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger barked happily, as if they understood everything. Later that day, as Mama Ifioma served pepper soup to her customers, everyone was talking about the brave dogs and how they had protected the town. "Your dogs are heroes," little Emeka said, feeding Bingo a piece of meat. But just as things were starting to feel peaceful again, Kunnel came running one more time. "Mama Ifioma, I just heard a new secret. Madame Bose is scared, but someone else, her cousin, is planning to continue the fight." Mama Ifioma's eyes widened. "Her cousin?" "Yes," Kunnel said. "And they say he is even more dangerous." Everyone went quiet. Mama Ifioma looked at her dogs, who were standing tall and alert. "Let them come," she said boldly. "We are ready." And as the sun set over the town, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger sat at the shop's entrance, eyes shining, waiting to protect Mama Ifioma once again. The following day, the air was thick with tension. The sun rose in a bright red sky, but it felt as though a storm was coming. Mama Ifioma stood in front of her shop, wiping her hands on her apron. She couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Her dogs, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger, were unusually quiet, their ears flicking in every direction. They had been on high alert ever since Sei's warning about Madame Bose's cousin. Mama Nkechi came over holding a basket of yams. "Mama Ifioma, I heard the news. That cousin of Madame Bose. They say he has powers, real powers." Mama Ifioma nodded. "I know. He is dangerous. But I believe in my dogs. They've been protecting us for a long time, and they won't stop now." As if on cue, Bingo barked loudly, startling both women. Tiger and Rocky joined in, growling at something unseen. Mama Nkechi frowned. "What are they sensing?" "I don't know," Mama Ifioma said, but her heart was pounding. "But I feel something is about to happen." Just then, Kunnel came running again, looking even more frightened than before. "Mama Ifioma, it's happening. Madame Bose's cousin is coming today," he said, breathless. "How do you know?" Mama Ifioma asked, her voice tight. "I overheard him talking to someone in the market. He said he's bringing something strong. Something that will destroy your shop and all the good work you've done here." Mama Ifioma felt a chill run down her spine, but she stood firm. "We will not be afraid. My dogs and I are ready for anything." The town gathered in the square, whispering about what was going to happen next. News of Madame Bose's cousin's threats had spread like wildfire. People spoke in hushed tones, eyes wide with fear. But Mama Ifioma wasn't afraid. She set up her pepper soup stand as usual, her dogs sitting by her side. The sky grew darker as the day wore on, and clouds began to gather above. A wind started to blow, shaking the trees. The dogs stood up, their bodies tense, eyes fixed on the path leading into the town. Then, out of the mist, a tall man appeared. He was dressed in all black, his face covered with a dark hood. Behind him, a strange smoke followed, swirling in the air like it was alive. Mama Ifioma's heart pounded as she looked at him. This was Madame Bose's cousin, the one they had all been warned about. The man walked toward her shop, his eyes hidden beneath the hood. He stopped in front of Mama Ifeoma and stared at her for a long moment. "You think you can stop me?" The man's voice was low and cold. "You and your dogs cannot fight what I have brought." Mama Ifeoma didn't flinch. "I don't need to fight you. I have something more powerful than you can understand." The dogs stood tall beside her, their fur bristling as they growled at the strange man. "You think your dogs will save you?" he sneered. "I have power beyond what you can see. Your pepper soup will be destroyed, your shop will burn, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." Suddenly, the wind picked up, and the smoke around the man thickened. It moved toward the shop, swirling like a storm. Mama Ifeoma stepped forward, raising her hand. "No," she said firmly. "This is my place, and I won't let you destroy it. You may have your smoke and your tricks, but I have something stronger: faith, good, and my dogs." The man laughed, but it was a cold, empty sound. "We will see." He stepped forward, and the smoke followed him. The air grew thick with the smell of burning herbs, and the dogs barked loudly, their voices fierce and full of warning. But just as the smoke got closer to Mama Ifeoma's shop, Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger did something unexpected. They leapt forward, and with a loud, powerful bark, they charged straight at the smoke. The strange man's eyes widened in shock as the dogs broke through the smoke, their bodies glowing with a strange light. "No, this can't be!" he yelled, stumbling back. The dogs didn't stop. They circled him, their barks growing louder and stronger, pushing the smoke away. The air grew still, and the man finally stopped retreating, his face twisted with rage. "You think you've won?" he spat, glaring at Mama Ifeoma. "This isn't over." With a final growl from the dogs, he turned and disappeared back into the mist. Mama Ifeoma stood, her heart racing, but she didn't feel afraid. The dogs had won again. The crowd cheered and clapped. "The dogs have saved us again," one of the townspeople shouted. Mama Nkechi came forward, smiling. "Mama Ifeoma, your dogs are truly something special." Mama Ifeoma smiled back, looking down at Bingo, Rocky, and Tiger. "Yes, they are. They've been more than just pets. They've been my protectors." And as the sun set, the town knew that the battle wasn't truly over yet. But with Mama Ifeoma and her dogs standing strong, they felt ready for whatever would come next.